Alabama needs to get rid of arrogance when receiving Baylor. Time is running out. Alabama could have as many as 9 weeks left in its men's basketball season, but its upcoming 8 days could tell the story of the season more than any other stretch. The Tide begins a difficult string of 3 games when it hosts number 4 Baylor on Saturday, followed by next week at Auburn and home against Kentucky. Saturday's 3 p.m. Central Time tip-off on ESPN was scheduled as the marquee game of the SEC Big 12 Challenge between the regular season champions of the respective conferences last year. More in Alabama sports. Nate Oats updates status of injured Alabama forwards. Former Alabama standout Sam Shade leaving Pinson Valley to become head coach at Miles College, where Alabama players are projected to be picked in NFL draft. Although Baylor, the defending national champions, remain on track for a deep run in the NCAA tournament, Alabama has faltered over the past month plus of the season. An 8-1 start has been soured by a 5-6 record over the past 11 games, with the Tide sinking to a new low Tuesday when it blew a 9-point second-half lead to Georgia, previously winless in the SEC. Alabama, buoyed by the nation's hardest schedule by several metrics and 4 top 15 wins, is still number 24 in the NCAA's net ranking used by the tournament committee. An average of tournament bracket projections still places Alabama as a number 5 seed in March Madness, and the Tide could find its footing as a higher-seeded team if it can pull off 1 or 2 wins against its upcoming 3 opponents. But a 3-game sweep of losses would worsen Alabama's conference record to 4-7 and require a strong finish to February to avoid the NCAA tournament bubble, a year after earning a number 2 seed and advancing to the Sweet 16. We only have 13 guaranteed games left, Oats said Friday, referring to the remaining 11 regular season games, at least 1 SEC tournament game and an anticipated postseason game. That's it. Some of you guys, your season is getting close to the end here. We're at the end of January, we're almost in February. We're running out of time. Oats tempered preseason expectations for a team that lost several key pieces from last year's SEC championship group, and the clock would seem to be ticking on the current roster as well. Freshman J.D. Davison remains a projected first-round NBA draft pick this summer. Guard Keon Ellis is projected as a second-round pick, and professional options could also loom for Jaden Shackelford, who turns 21 next month, and Jarvin Quinley, who is 23. Alabama has a pair of McDonald's high school All-Americans joining next season in Brandon Miller and Jaden Bradley, but if Alabama's current roster wants to secure its legacy before the page is turned, the time is now. Consistency is a big deal. We need to see some more consistency out of everybody, Oates said. I think the realization is there with these guys. We just need to see now. We can talk about it. We can have team meetings, we can hash stuff out, we can get it out, we can say what's on our mind, but we're going to really see it when the games come up, every day in practice, every possession of the game, and see how locked in we all are. Baylor is the second team from last year's Final Four to visit Coleman Coliseum, and the third Alabama will have played overall this season. It beat both others in back-to-back December games, Gonzaga in Seattle and then Houston in Tuscaloosa. The issue has been games like Baylor we've been really good for. How much do you want to change? Because every big game we've had, it seems like we've stepped up and played pretty well, Oates said about Alabama, which has also beaten ranked opponents Tennessee and LSU at home. It's the other ones that have been the issue. Alabama's losses at Missouri and Georgia have played a large role in shaping the national perception of a team that has spent the past 2 weeks out of both major college basketball polls for the first time in over a year. All of the Tide's remaining losses have come to teams ranked in the top 75 of net or higher. We got to rid the entire program of the complacency and the arrogance that seemed to have crept in based on, maybe, what we did last year and the beginning of this year, which is not a good spot to be, Oates said. I think losing to 0-6 Georgia may have humbled enough people in the program to get us to the point where we can play with an edge from now on. At least I hope so. Oates believes mental toughness is part of the problem. It's more of a mental deal than anything, he said. When we're mentally locked in, we're playing really hard, the offense flows and the defense is much better. We need to see everybody locked into every play. Now, how that looks, we're pressuring the ball, we're getting deflections, we're rebounding the ball at a high level on both ends of the floor, not just the offensive end of the floor. Offensively, we're locked in and taking care of the ball. We talk about effort and being blue collar. Some of that is you can't let the last play determine your effort on the next play. We've got some of that going on, too, where we turn the ball over, you miss a shot, get screwed in your mind on a call. All of a sudden it affects your next 3 plays. Well, that's a complete lack of mental toughness, and we've shown that we've got a little bit of that. It has been that lack of an edge, and how it manifests in games through effort, toughness and energy, that has been cited by Oates after most losses this season. In some cases, those losses have come after Oats has praised his team's performance in practice in the preceding days. I said to my staff, sometimes it's hard to predict with this team, he said. You think you've had a couple good days, then for whatever reason, the game. I don't have all the answers. Shoot, if I had the answers, I'd fix it. I don't have those answers. I do think there's some guys who admitted we play to the level of our competition. We don't play with a chip on our shoulder every game like we used to. After we've lost the games that we've lost, I hope we have a chip on our shoulder every game from here on out, because we've got a lot to prove moving forward. Seems like those Gonzaga and Houston wins are a long time ago in the rearview mirror. We need to get some quality wins here in late January, February, going into postseason. Oates spent almost an hour in the locker room before addressing reporters after Tuesday night's loss and later said there were some heartfelt conversations in the wake of the defeat. Forward Noah Gurley said Friday the team got closer after that discussion, and Oates noted there have been follow-up team meetings as well as a players-only meeting this week. I think that game showed some flaws we had, and we addressed them, Gurley said. I feel like everybody is motivated to be better going forward. Oates has seen improvement in practice late this week. They better be out there with something to prove every day. If they are not, then you got to question their competitive edge, he said. I think they are. Based on what I saw in practice today and yesterday, they are. Now, we need to see it in every game. I think we've had, for the most part, and I've said this before, we've had 2 good practices. We need to have great practices every day leading into every game. I do think our guys' heads are in a better spot. Some of the guys who struggled against Georgia realized they struggled, realized they didn't play well. Alabama is asking fans to wear white to Saturday's game in Coleman Coliseum, where the Tide had won 17 consecutive games before losing to Auburn earlier this month. I'm looking forward to testing ourselves against the best again, Oates said. I think we've proven we can play against the best teams in the country. Mike Rodick is an Alabama beat reporter for Alabama Media Group. Follow him on Twitter at Mike Rodak.